So again, we are just men, and the spirit of Yah has to dwell with us. So the brother, may have reacted in a way that we don't agree with, but that's him. He's responsible for that. Every brother got to seek out his own salvation with fear and trembling. But what I did hear earlier today, that the brother was willing to make an apology to the United Nation of Israel for accusing them falsely. The brothers, UNY, had absolutely nothing to do. They had no idea what was going on. And that's also why you got to seek diligently into a matter before you start doing accusations. But that's like Yahshua said, bring forth fruits, meet for repentance. So if he's able to, willing to come out there and be man enough to say, hey, listen, I want to make a formal apology here to United Nation of Israel, which was completely innocent, had absolutely nothing to do with nothing, that's a good start. So we would like to see, as in all our brothers, to step up and walk in righteousness. And that's what we would try to encourage all brothers to do. But at the end of the day, again, every man must work out his own salvation with fear and trembling. We about nation building. We about works. Everybody ain't about that. That's on them. That's, we going to do what we got to do. We going to push forward. So again, what we're going to open up with is we're going to open up in Leviticus YAH chapter 23. YAH chapter 23. And this is where the set apart days of Yah are established. Again, if you don't see your holy day or your holiday in Leviticus 23, then it's man-made. Period. Man-made. And that doesn't mean that it's bad because it's man-made. Listen, if my aunt graduates and gets his master's degree and wants to go out and party that day, I'm gonna say congratulations. Let's go, let's go have a dinner. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he say every year on this day, Yah says that we need to come together because I graduated, bro. Nah, that's all. I'm not finna worship you. No. Nah.
Put the Father's name in.
Right. Nah, you can't put the Father. And if you're gonna rebuke me because I don't show up to your graduation anniversary day, nah, that's a problem. You're turning yourself into a god. Nah, we're not gonna deal with that. Now, if you say, hey, listen, our ancestors had a tradition of celebrating a certain day, nothing wrong with that if it's giving the glory to the Most High. But for you to now rebuke me and say I am in transgression because I didn't keep a tradition, that's a whole nother story. That's where folks go too far, trying to create a righteousness. Yah commanded. It's not set apart if you're putting more things in it. You're touching it. Set apart means it's different. It's just like the Shabbat. The Shabbat is set apart. You make 2 Shabbats. The Shabbat not set apart no more. It's just another nice day. So we got to make sure we understand that. Leviticus 23 breaks everything down. And it says, Yah, these are my feasts. These are mine. This belongs to Yah. So these are the things that we're commanded to do. So let me give the shout outs real quick. Shabbat Shalom Ari Yehuda Dahu. Shabbat Shalom Aquanet Thompson. Shabbat Shalom Gishi Cole. Shabbat Shalom to my love, Sister Tafara, Terry Siobhan Drummer. Shabbat Shalom Stephanie Hicks. Shabbat Shalom Brother Lucas Cool. Shabbat Shalom to my longtime brother Poliyahu Yashra'al. Shabbat Shalom to Demetra Stewart. Shabbat Shalom to Yahuwah Ben Frederick. Shabbat Shalom to my brothers in Augusta, Mr. Marshall Chambers and his beautiful wife. Shabbat Shalom Brandon So Blessed Newkirk. Shabbat Shalom Brother Brandon. Shabbat Shalom Sis Hefzibah Bat Israel. Shabbat Shalom Chebuze Yamelik Ube Chawukwu. Excuse me if I didn't pronounce that. That's the Babylon language. I can't, our tongue is not prepared for this African language yet. So we still trying to get it. So no disrespect, brother, to the king of Yah. Shabbat Shalom Yehuda Yashra'al. Shabbat Shalom Diane Deshaun Callahan. And as always, Shabbat Shalom to my brother from another mother, Matthew McCoy. All right. And Shabbat Shalom to the kings. I know y'all watching as well. So let's get started. YAH chapter 23. And let's start this at verse 1.
And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yashra'al, and say unto them concerning the feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
All right, so off rip, he says, And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, speak unto the children of Yashra'al. So this is who these feasts are for. The children of Yashra'al. And say unto them, concerning the feasts of Yah, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. So there's a whole slew of Hebrew words in here that we have to define. So you understand the magnitude of what he's saying in just verse 1. First, he's saying concerning my feasts. Feast is the word that they put in there, but the word that was there was Moade. With the Strong's is H4150. Moade, spelled M-O-A-D-E or M-O-E-D, however you want to pronounce it. And that's from H3259. Properly an appointment. That is a fixed time or season, which means it doesn't move. This is fixed. Every year at this time, this is what happens. This is Yah's creation. We cannot change that. We cannot move that. We cannot say, we wanted to be here because, this is when my people gather. It just makes it easier. This is Yah's fixed time. Let it be done on earth as it is in heaven. So the heavenly tablets got these things going on in heaven, and we're trying to match this on earth. If we are his servants, everything else in the world is his servant. The tide comes in when it's supposed to come in. It goes out when it's supposed to go out. The sun comes up when it's supposed to come up. It goes down when it's supposed to go down. Because all of these things are servants of the Most High. So if we're servants of the Most High, we're supposed to move with the same exactness as all of his creation does. Hold on. We want to go over a few more things. Okay. Then we have holy convocations. Holy convocation. So we know holy is Kodesh, which is H6944. Kodesh, spelled Q-O-D-E-S-H. And that's from H6942, a sacred place or thing. Shabbat shalom, Aki. Rarely, abstractly, sanctity, a consecrated, dedicated, hallowed thing. So this is his hallowed, sacred, set apart convocation. Convocation, the Hebrew word for convocation, is very important as well. It's called mikra. Mikra is H4744. Mikra, spelled M-I-Q-R-A. Mikra. And that's from H7121. Something called out that is a public meeting. So that means this is a public meeting of Kodesh, of the Kodeshim, of the saints. And that is also a rehearsal. So we're rehearsing being Kodesh and coming together at a called out time that is fixed, that does not move. So this is practice. This is practice of righteousness. And it also says a reading. So we're supposed to read at these times.
Is it cool if I switch with Brother West? I'm just not in the right ruach right now.
Okay. No problem, brother. Come on, brother. All right. You want to use this book?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's his.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, so Shabbat Shalom, Brother West. Appreciate you coming in. That's true brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? The work's going to get done, but it's not dependent on any one individual, whether it be me, Brother Yonatan, or the elders, or anybody. We are a body, and we step forward for one another to make sure Yah's works get done. So I appreciate you, brother, coming up here. So we're at Leviticus, YAH, chapter 23, and let's start this at verse 3. Excuse me. Verse 3.
6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Shabbat of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Shabbat of Yahweh in all your dwellings.
All right. So again, before he even gets into breaking down these Moade, he immediately goes into the Shabbat. He's letting you know this is part of his appointed time, the Shabbat. So he's also showing you an example here. Before you can get into any of the Moadim, you have to deal with the Shabbat. So you ain't keeping a feast day, you ain't keeping a holy day, you're not keeping anything if you're not keeping a Shabbat. Because that's his first holy day that he set apart. The first ever holy day in creation was the Shabbat.
These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Passover.
All right, so the 14th day of the first month at even is Yah's Pesach. So we're going to go calculate that. So if you got your 2019 calendars, Rosh Hashanah, which is the head of the year, is the evening of Tuesday, March 12th. And if you looked at our class, so you want to circle March 12th. If you looked at our class, we showed you how to calculate a new year and how to calculate a calendar year, every year in a calendar month. So with March 12th being your new year. Now, if you calculate it a little bit different and you have evidence to show that it's calculated different, then the principle and the process is exactly the same if you're following the same ancient calendar. It may be off a day, 2 days, 3 days, however you calculate it, that's up to you. Every man must seek his own salvation with fear and trembling. But the same concept here that we're reading in Leviticus 23 says the 14th day between evens is Yahweh's Passover. And when we get into Passover, we'll explain why we said between, because the word bain was used, which means between. But the 14th day is Passover. So if March 12th is new month, Rosh Hashanah, then the evening of March 12th, because we know our days start at night, would be the first day. So March 12th at night would be day 1. So you're going to do 1 and you're going to count to the 14th day. So count to the 14th day with March 12th being 1. And when you get there, somebody tell me, what day do you have?
I believe that's the 26th.
Okay, no, the 14th day with March 12th being day 1. March 12th is 1. Then you're going to keep counting. So to the 14th day. And what day do you come up with? And that's what you got to remember. New month is day 1 of the month. That's Rosh Hashanah. That's the head of the year. So March 12th, March 13th, March 14th, March 15th, March 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 25. It's 14. So the 25th at night is the 14th. So that is your Pesach. You concur, Brother West?
Yeah.
All right. So the 25th. So go ahead and put a triangle around the, or wherever you want, a box or whatever around the 25th, so you can see how to count. Remember, our days start in the evening. So the evening of the 25th starts Pesach, the 25th. Go ahead.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. In the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. But you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh 7 days, and the 7th day. In the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying...
All right, hold it. So stop right there. So now you're getting into Matzah, which is Feast of Unleavened Bread. And with Passover, the Hebrew word for Passover is Pesach, which is H6453. Pesach. P-E-S-A-C-H. Pesach. And that's a pretermission, that is exemption used only technically of the Passover. Passover offering, the festival or the victim. So that's Passover. And then when we get into unleavened bread, we know that's on the 15th through the 21st. That's 7 days. So if you know the 14th is 25th, then the 26th is the 15th. So go ahead and mark the 26th. Now the 26th, it says there, on the 15th day, it says that this is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work. Verse 7, in the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work. So that is a Shabbaton. That is a day that's treated like a Sabbath. But it's not physically a Sabbath day, but it's treated like a Sabbath. We're not permitted to work. So that's like a holiday. When you have a holiday can fall in any day of the week in Babylon's calendar. And on that day, this is when you have your holy day, your holiday. You off from work. Well, this is the same thing with YAH. On his days that he says you're not permitted to do servile work, those are the days that you're off. You cannot work on those days. So the 26th would be your day 1 of unleavened bread. And it said unleavened bread is 7 days. So with the 26th of March being the first day, you want to count 7 days. So we're going to see what is the 7th day of unleavened bread. Anybody?
The 2nd of April.
Remember, the 26th is day 1. So 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, April 1st. April 1st at night is day 7 of unleavened bread. That is also a Sabbaton, which means it's treated like a Sabbath. All right.
So what is that?
That is unleavened bread, day 7. The feast of unleavened bread is 7 days. And the Hebrew word for feast is Hag, which is H2282, Hag, CHAG. And that's a festival or victim, therefore. Solemn feast day, sacrifice, solemnity. Unleavened is matzah, which is H4682. Matzah, spelled MATSTSAH. And that's from H4711 in the sense of greedily devouring for sweetness, properly sweetness, concretely sweet. That is not soured or bittered with yeast. Specifically an unfermented cake or loaf. The festival of Pesach, because no leaven was then used. So unleavened bread is a 7-day feast. On the first day is treated like a Sabbath, and on the 7th day, so that would be the 1st of April. All right, go ahead, brother.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 9. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yashra'al, and say unto them, When you be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it.
Okay, so it says the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it. So what Shabbat are they talking about here? They're talking about the Sabbath day. This is after the week of unleavened bread. So when you have the week of unleavened bread, the Sabbath after that is the 6th. The morrow after the Sabbath is always going to be what? What's the morrow after the Sabbath always going to be?
First day.
A first day, right. A Babylon Sunday. So that means Feast of First Fruits would be starting that Saturday night, which is April 6th. Shabbat shalom, brother.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, y'all. Good to see y'all. So the 6th. So the 6th, you're going to go ahead and put a mark on that. That's going to be your first fruits. Because when does a first day start? According to our Hebrew understanding. Starts on a Saturday night. So Saturday night always starts your Babylon Sunday, your first day of the week. And we're in Leviticus 23, brother. If you need a sword, you grab one over there behind you. So Feast of First Fruits is the morrow after the Shabbat. Now, where you have some confusion is some people are using the Sabbathon as a Sabbath, saying the day after the seventh day of unleavened bread. But what you have to understand is there's a difference between a Sabbath and a Sabbathon. There's in English, it says the same thing. It says Sabbath, so it causes confusion. But when you look at the Hebrew, when it says Shabbat, it's always Shabbat. Shabbat is set apart, separate. There is no, you can't make another Shabbat. But the Sabbathon, which you'll see later when we get into the definitions, is a holiday. It's like a day treated like a Sabbath. All right. So you have April 6th at sunfall, when it's dark. That begins your Feast of First Fruits. All right. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 12.
And first fruits is very important. And why it's very important is because if you don't calculate your first fruits properly, you're gonna mess up your feast of Shabbat, because it's based off of first fruits. Amen. So if you don't have this properly, you messed up not only first fruits, but you're also messing up your Pentecost. Now, the so-called Roman Catholic Church, they act like they don't know when the Sabbath is. But why is every Pentecost always fall on a Sunday? In order to calculate this, you have to use the morrow after the Sabbath. So they're letting you know they know when the Sabbath day is. The Sabbath day is the seventh day of the week. If they call Sunday a Sabbath, then their Pentecost will fall on Monday. So they playing games. They know when the Sabbath is. They telling all their members, oh yeah, you know, the Father, the Holy Father on earth, the Euro Gentile, he says the Sabbath is now on the first day of the week, which is what they call Sunday, the sun's day. But yet at the same time, when they calculating their holy days and they collecting their tithes, and they keep Pentecost also because there's a tithe on that day. There's an offering. They always following the rules to get Pentecost to land on a Sunday.
So does your calculation always end on the birthday?
It has to. There's no other way. You can't. The morrow after the Shabbat is always going to be the first day.
Either one, if you calculating it right.
Either way, it's going to always be on the first day. That's how you know they know when the Shabbat is.
Yeah, right.
They know. The Pope knows when the Shabbat is. Because if you say, no, the Shabbat is really on a Sunday, then the morrow after the Shabbat will be a Monday to them. But they're not doing that because they know what the real ancient calendar says.
Teach, bro.
Go ahead, brother.
And it being sun worshipers is conducive for them to keep this particular feast as opposed to,
Absolutely.
messing up others. They got this one right, didn't they?
Yeah. And sometimes it'll fall exactly with us because not only are they using that, they're using the Jewish calendar. And last year, the Jewish calendar aligned with the ancient Enoch Zadokian calendar very closely. So then you had the Catholics, the Jewish people, and the Israelites keeping feast days almost on the same exact days. Go ahead.
And you shall offer that day when you wave the sheaf a he-lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahweh.
All right. And this is also important. People confuse in first fruits and unleavened bread, they confuse the sheaf offering with the free will offering, because every harvest, which is unleavened bread, Pentecost, and gathering, you're supposed to make an offering, a free will offering of your first fruits. And what they did was they thought, some people confused the sheaf offering with the unleavened with the harvest offering, which is a free will offering. You offer based upon what Yah gave you on your harvest. If somebody goes out there and plants a garden, he has a green thumb, and he produces all this fruit, all this great fruit, then he's gonna give a lot to the Most High. If somebody, they first year go out and they don't really, or they fourth year go out and they don't really have a big harvest, they can only give so much. They still got to feed their family. So the Most High said, give according to what Yah has given you. But first fruits here, it says a sheaf offering. And a sheaf is a specific amount. That shows you those are two different offerings. So if you look at that word for sheaf, the word for sheaf is literally omer in Hebrew. H60:16. An omer, and that's from H60:14, properly a heap. That is a sheaf, an omer, as a dry measure. So you're supposed to give an exact dry measure for the feast of first fruits. That is a completely separate feast day than unleavened bread. And it has to be outside of unleavened bread. It can't be inside unleavened bread, and we're going to see why. All right, so for first fruits, the word for first fruits is bikor, which is H1061. Bikor, spelled B-I-K-K-U-R. And that's from H1069, the first fruits of the crop, the first fruits. So a lot of people confuse first fruits with unleavened bread. Completely different. And we're going to see why. Continue reading.
And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And you shall eat neither bread nor parched corn, nor green ears until the selfsame day that you have brought an offering unto your Elohim. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, in all your dwellings.
All right, so here's the clue. And you shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the day that you have made your offering unto Yah. But in matzah, you got to eat what? Every day in unleavened bread. Anybody?
You say
Unleavened bread.
Master.
During Feast of Unleavened Bread, you got to eat what? Matzah. Every day. So how can you not eat bread, whether you want to say leavened bread or unleavened bread? And if you look at the word, the Hebrew word for bread here is talking about leavened bread, by the way. So that's another clue that this can't happen on unleavened bread, because it wouldn't be telling you not to eat bread until you make an offering that has leaven in it during a week where you can't eat bread with leaven in it. But either way you want to look at it, whether it's leavened bread or unleavened bread, with unleavened bread, you have to eat unleavened bread every single day. And this offering is the morrow after the Shabbat. So that's letting you know this is completely separate. It cannot be during the same week. The morrow after the Shabbat is a first day. And you have to eat unleavened bread for 7 days beginning on the 15th. That's proof that those two feast days are completely separate. But you got people, Jewish people, teach that this is on the 16th day. They say the 15th is Matzah day 1, and they call first fruits the 16th. That don't add up. It can't be, because it's the morrow after the Shabbat. Go ahead.
And you shall count unto you from the morrow after the Shabbat, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Shabbats shall be complete.
All right. So again, this is why you have to have your first fruits on the right day. The morrow after the Shabbat, which is the first day of the week, because the morrow after Shabbat is always the first day. You got to have 7 Sabbaths to have your Pentecost.
Fulfilled.
Right. Go ahead.
Even unto the morrow after the 7th Shabbat shall you number 50 days, and you shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahweh. You shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deals. They shall be of fine flour, they shall be baken with leaven. They are the first fruits unto Yahweh. And you shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering unto Yahweh with their meat offering, and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire, a sweet savor unto Yahweh. Then you shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offerings. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before Yahweh. With the 2 lambs, they shall be holy to Yahweh for the priests. And you shall proclaim on the selfsame day that it may be an holy convocation unto you. You shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations.
All right, so we know Shabbat. We know that is also a Sabbathon, which means it is a day treated like a Sabbath day. Now, again, it says that from the morrow after the day that you wave your sheaf offering, which is first fruits, you got to count 7 Sabbaths. So we know first fruits is the 6th of April. So count 7 Sabbaths from the 6th of April, and that's where you're going to get your first fruits. And you're going to get your Pentecost, your Shabbat. And I'm going to show you a second witness completely independent of Leviticus 23 and Book of Jubilees, which is going to prove that your Pentecost is at a specific time, and which means if your Pentecost is at a specific time, is proving when your first fruits has to be in order to have these line up. So if the 6th, if you got your calendar, April 6th, 1 Shabbat after that will be the 13th. 7 Sabbaths would be what day? All you do is count Sabbaths. So you know the 6th is the Saturday, is the 6th, Saturday the 6th. Count 13th, 20th, 27th, 4th, 11th, 18th, till you get to 7 Sabbaths. And it's going to give you a day.
The 13th is the beginning of Shabbat.
The 6th. The 6th of April. That is the beginning of Feast of First Fruits. So the morrow after that, you're going to count 7 Sabbaths. So that means the first day would be the 7th. That's the morrow after. 7 Sabbaths you're going to count. So that would be the 13th of April, the 20th of April, the 27th of April, the 4th of May, the 11th of May, the 18th of May, the 25th of May. And Brother Mattiyahu had it correct, the 25th of May. That's your 7 Sabbaths complete. So those 7 Sabbaths, that gives you 49 days. Penta is what? 50. So that means the first day would make it 50. And when does the first day start? Sunday. When does Sunday start for Israelites?
The Shabbat at
It's the first day of the week.
Shabbat, right. Sundown after Shabbat ends, that begins the first day. So May 25th, that is your Shabbat.
They done.
Yes, sir.
It really is critical that we understand the numerology of what the Creator is doing here, because it's like we were circumcised on 8th day, and 8 is, I believe, the number of renewal.
Right.
And we can just see that by, the fact that 7 is complete or perfect or completes a cycle. For example, we had to eat unleavened bread for 7 days. That means for the rest of our life, or for, a natural cycle is complete.
Right.
After that natural cycle of 7 is complete, then you go back to the beginning. You start over with another week. So this is why the Father, locked in the Shabbat day to be fixed. It's not
right.
Movable in that context, because He's showing you cycles. So after 7 days, you got a complete cycle. Then after the 7th
right.
day, it's a new cycle.
Elazar.
So what I'm saying is, Shavuot could be the first day, but it also could be the 8th day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, basically the Creator's telling us that it's always going to fall on the 8th day. Because his count starts with the first day, so it couldn't be, you know, when it says the day after the Shabbat, that's an 8th day. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you have
It's the
7
seventh.
completion, and then you have the 8th day.
Or the first day.
Right. Right.
It's still a new day. And
Right.
it's showing that in this cycle that it's complete. You understand?
It's creating something new. Most
a
definitely.
New man, a new kingdom, a new. I mean, it has spiritual meaning to it.
Absolutely.
So the feast lasts that long? Last all through those 7 Shabbats?
No,
It's just
that's
a
your
count.
numbering. That's just
the
your count.
So what is April 6th?
April 6th is your Feast of First Fruits.
So what is May 25th?
That's Pentecost.
Was the day after May 25th, right?
Well, May 25th at night. Right. So it depends on how you look at it. If you want to look at the daytime portion, but we know we start our days
The
at
next
night.
day, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So,
But it's the 8th day, it's not the night of the.
okay. So brother said it's Pentecost on a Shabbat. No, it's not. Because all these holy days start at night. So we know Saturday night, we
right.
not in Shabbat. It's
Right.
party time. You know, especially married people, it's party time.
Hallelujah.
Saturday night. That's our happiest day of the week. You know, you have the Shabbat, then you got Saturday night.
Amen.
So Pentecost is a first day. It happens on a Sunday. So the daytime portion of Sunday is the daytime portion of Pentecost. But the nighttime portion of Saturday is the nighttime portion of Pentecost, because our days start from even and end in even.
Now, it's just so amazing, in my estimation, when you look at that the Gentiles, is it an accident that they celebrate, the Christians on Sunday, the first day? Why is that? Why do they celebrate on Tuesday or Wednesday?
Right.
Because their whole thesis is, well, it doesn't matter what day we worship, because all that was fulfilled in Christ. You know what I mean? That's their
Right.
reasoning for breaking the traditional Sabbath.
Right.
But again, why is it Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Now we know that Sunday is what?
The sun's day that they
That's the genius of the Father.
Right.
They chose a day, and the Father showed that He knew the day that they were going to choose.
Right.
In the context of His feast, because it always falls on a Sunday, and it represents what? Shavuot is the church, or represents the church period, or the 7
Right.
times of the church period.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Right.
the Father knew that during the church period, the Gentiles, or during Pentecost, is another way of just saying the times of the Gentiles. You
Right.
throw
Right.
it
And
out
it was
there.
the Spirit was given out. You look on Mount in Exodus in the 3rd month. That's when that Spirit was. That's when the dispensation of the law was given to us. And then you look with Hamashiach after his passing with the
third
disciples.
month is when the law was given.
3rd month is when we get into Pentecost, we're going to break it down. 3rd month, he called all the elders. He said, all that you said we will do. And that's when the law was given out.
In the 3rd one.
In the 3rd month with Shabbat. So it's given out there. And then also, which is the word, which was Hamashiach given out, the church, the body, the assembly. Then also when you get into Acts, when all those people of the Israelites from different places, as well as the people that were converts, the proselytes, all received the Holy Spirit in the 3rd month on Pentecost. So this is everything is being done according to how it's being done in heaven. These dates aren't just happenstance. That's why you can't change these things. This is why we read the definition of Moade, which is a fixed time. Fixed means it's not moving. You can't change it. If you change it, you saying that YAH.
Isn't it so amazing how they give us a movable earth,
Mm-hmm.
and they give us a movable moon, a month, or everything with them is anti the Father.
Right.
And it's just amazing how the adversary can set up an alternative system to truth that works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their calendar system works.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and continue.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 22. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not make clean riddance of the corners of your field. When you reap, neither shall you gather any gleaning of the harvest. You shall leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am Yahweh your Elohim.
All right, so notice when he's talking about the holy days, he's immediately going into the reaping of the harvest of his land and how we're supposed to honor his feast days by not reaping all of our stuff, by leaving a portion for the poor. So all of this is involved in how we honor Yah's holy day by not gleaming everything that we think belongs to us. He's going to put a certain portion in our hands that don't belong to us to test us. What are you going to do about the poor in your land? Are you going to leave a little bit of extra for them? Or are you going to try to get everything you can get because you know you got to give some to Yah, you know you got some for your family, and then what are you going to do about the poor? If the poor has an opportunity to feed themselves and eat, they don't need to break into your house and steal because they got an opportunity to come glean the leftovers of what you have. Go ahead.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yashra'al, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall you have a Shabbat, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation.
All right. So he's saying in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, you shall have a Shabbat. It says Sabbath here, right? A memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. So hold your spot right there. We're gonna come back to that. But before that, I want to get into I want to show you when Pentecost is. Let's go to Jubilees. We're going to go to the book of Jubilees. And we're going to go to chapter 15. And it could be different depending on what copy you have.
This is the verse that mentions the first fruits.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the 5th year of the 4th week of this Jubilee.
All right.
All right. So here's an important clue. This is Abram keeping the Feast of First Fruits. Remember, when you have a harvest, you have to offer the first fruits of your harvest to Yah. So there's those 3 harvests that you have throughout the year. You have to offer those first fruits. Go ahead, verse 1.
And in the 5th year of the 4th week of this Jubilee, in the 3rd month, in the middle of the month, Abram celebrated the feast of the first fruits of the grain harvest.
But this is Abram. Why is Abram celebrating the feast of first fruits? You have Abram, then Abraham, then Isaac, then Yaakov. Then Yaakov goes into Levi. Then Levi goes into Moshe. Then Moshe goes into giving the law. But Abram is keeping this. Where he getting this from? Because Abram got his information from Enoch. He got his information from Shem, the forefathers who had relationship with Yah. So he's keeping the first fruits of the grain harvest. This is what you offer during Pentecost. The grain harvest is what you're offering. So again, this is in the 3rd month, in the middle of the month. So he's letting you know when you're supposed to keep your first fruits of the grain harvest, which is Pentecost. Go ahead, Aki.
Is that what Cain and Abel were keeping?
Could be. Sounds
Good point.
interesting.
Good point, bro.
Could be. Because they were doing the first fruits offering.
They were offering something.
Yeah, they were doing offering. So
Good point, though.
So in this 3rd month, in the middle of the month, if you look at your new months, the 3rd month starts on May 11th. May 11th is the 3rd new month. So the middle of the month would be the middle of 30, which would be 15. So if you count from the 11th, see what day you get. 15 days. From the 11th gives you what day?
25th.
The same day that is 50 days or 49 days away, which is the 7 Sabbaths. So how can we, the only way you can do what Abram did, and I'm going to say Abram did what he was supposed to do, because this is a man that Yah considered a friend. How is Abram able to keep the same day we keep when we follow in Leviticus chapter 23, but this wasn't even dispensated yet. This wasn't even given out yet. Why? Because let it be done on earth as it is in heaven. We are modeling. He told Moshe, make sure you follow this pattern that's given unto you, because this is a heavenly pattern. We are a shadow of things to come. We just emulating what's already done in heaven, what's in the heavenly tablets. Go ahead, Elder.
Can you read that again on Abraham?
Sure.
I mean, that's a great point you're making.
Jubilees, chapter 15 and verse 1. And in the 5th year of the 4th week of this Jubilee,
in the what again?
in the 3rd month,
Uh-huh.
in the middle of the month, Abram celebrated the feast of first fruits of the grain harvest.
So in the 3rd month, on the 15th of the month.
Exactly, the middle. Because remember, the first month of a season has how many days? 30 days. So half through 30 is 15 days. So if you count 15 days from the 3rd day, from the first day of the 3rd month, we have the 11th.
Would that be the 14th day evening it would open up? Is that the 15th?
Yeah, exactly.
That opens up, the feast would start from the 14th day evening to the 15th.
No. It would start the 15th day, because remember, the 7th Sabbath is the marker, then it's the morrow after to give you Penta, which is 50. It's not 49. It's 50. 50 days. Penta's
Okay,
50.
No problem, but I mean, the point is, we're observing. I mean, I think the point that you're making, and I mean, it's a good point for Ron too, because he's a historical. We have a Hebrew, historian, Ron Devine. But it's just pointing out that, and this is what Cascale pointed out, how that what we're taught and how we see things is that Moses started everything. What was given to Moses was the beginning of the holy cycle season. Before Moses, no one observed the high holy days. You feel me?
Right.
Which were reflective of the harvest, but if it was given to Enoch and the book of Enoch was there,
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Then that gives us a predate of, and like you said, Abraham would have been operating off that same cycle.
Absolutely.
And what he's pointing to is, with more knowledge, we can even understand that even Adam was on that divine cycle as revealed some kind of way from the Father. He was observing. It could have been. See, here's the problem. With Adam, it could have been the Passover that's being offered up. It could have been, meaning it could have been, we don't know unless we find in the book where Adam on a certain date did. You understand?
Right. The offerings.
We know there was
right.
a day that Adam and I mean not Adam, but Cain and Abel presented themselves before the Most High and they brought an offering.
Right.
We don't know what season necessarily, unless through, the prophetic books we can find what season that was.
Right.
But that's a good point.
Could be in Yashra'al, could be in Jubilees.
Season of harvest.
Right.
Because he wouldn't have been able to.
He wouldn't be able to. Right. So we knew it was that. Now, when exactly?
But
don't know.
3 harvest seasons.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So it could
But
be either
that's
one.
a good point, because I'm thinking now, this is what the Father's teaching me as an elder dad. And again, I want everybody to come into this, the reality of discovery. I mean, that's what, Nasi Yadan is doing in his context, is bringing out, through Greece, he discovered this. Did somebody teach you this, or you discovered this? You understand?
I mean, this is a collective. Yeah, this is a collective of all the brothers to come together.
And research it, your eyes is not going to click on to the truth, because all this stuff has it not been hidden?
Yeah, it's been hidden. A lot of this stuff was revealed when I was able to step away from where I was being taught. And
just look at it unbiasedly, right?
Right. I didn't have to be biased to a doctrine that I was being taught. And when I started to open these things up and I started to read more of these books, these things were, revealed to me. And then I would bring it to like Brother Jonathan, and Jonathan would add more to it and say, oh, and then look at this and look at that. And we were able to grow. And then we got with some even brothers on the West Coast, different brothers. And we would go over and we would bring forth witnesses because we were either trying to prove or disprove. Either way, we were just trying to come with the truth. And if we were able to disprove it, then we know, okay, that can't be it. And if we're able to prove it, and then more witnesses would come, then we like, so the fact that we saw here, the only way you can get the middle of the third month using this monthly system is if you start your first fruits on the right day. Mm-hmm. If you start on the wrong day, you're not going to get the middle of the third month. Mm-hmm. So then it wouldn't match what Abram was doing. So we didn't try to match Abram. That was another witness that came when we were reading. I was reading Jubilees and I looked, I said, wait a minute. The middle of the, I said, what was it? It said first fruits though. Then I realized, it says right here in Leviticus, the first fruits. Right in here, when it's talking about Pentecost, it's still calling it first fruits.
Yes, sir.
Because it's the first fruits of that harvest.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a first fruits offering, which is a whole holy day by itself. Mm-hmm. So I saw all these things tied in and the math added up. So that was a witness right there from a whole different book, which was predating Bereshit.
But now, isn't it really gratifying when you, as an individual living in these times, can unveil or unseal or discover something that's been sealed? Our people, and I'm just putting it out here because, again, for the minds of our people that have not tapped into investing in Yah's word, a lot of people, I guess, are Israelites. You understand, in that context, they're part of different ministries, churches, whatever. But the unique thing about this ministry is it's a unity reality where the Father counsels us in this season to come together. So those of us, as we come together and discover this or that or whatever, these truths that are being uncovered, it's just exciting when you discover that when you wake up that you've been duped.
Right.
You've been, am I right or wrong?
Absolutely,
it
absolutely.
frees you to really look to the Father,
right,
rather than look to the system or look to your teachers or look to your congregational background. You have to understand, I'm an elder, but I was raised a Christian. Meaning
Me too, right.
When I grew up, I went to, Sunday, what they call it, Sunday
school or whatever.
Yeah, little Sunday school for the kids. So,
right.
That's when I was introduced to different stories of my ancestors. I didn't know it was my ancestors, David and Goliath, but I really love these stories. It just entered into my soul that it was just beautiful. Then, you grow up and realize, well, it's just a European,
right,
whatever, and you leave that. But then in time, and this is the time we're sharing with the audience out there, the trumpet is being sounded. The Father's waking us up. This is our history. We're claiming it. The sad thing, all of us is not claiming the word. Right. To look at the word and to try to find what is the truth. A lot of it is coming to a system. We all have to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. I started somewhere.
Right.
But I kind of rubbed where I started the wrong way because I'm seeking truth, asking questions.
Right.
You understand?
You're always going to have a problem when you start asking questions and people don't have answers. They just want you to just believe what they believe and go along with the program because they don't want to be seen as being wrong. And that's going to restrict your learning. But when you come at us, listen, we're servants. We have a map. We're trying to find our way home, and home is truth with this word. Now you can utilize the best of everybody, and you can say, hey, this was right or this was wrong. And this is why we record. Nobody record these things. Nobody's recording how you come up with your holy days or how you come up with your new months. Because people don't want stones thrown at them.
Right.
But we saying, listen, throw the stone. If you're able to shatter this glass, then there's a problem with what we're doing. But if you can't shatter, it's bulletproof, then I'm more confident in teaching this and following this. We don't want to do the wrong thing. We want to do the right thing.
To be arrogant to say that we can't be corrected if somebody brings. But the point is, you put it out there, and that's another thing. This congregation, praise Yah, walks in the light. A lot of Israelite congregations, and from my perspective, they're comfortable in the darkness. Mashiach, the word of Yah manifest in flesh, was the light of this world. A lot of people are offended in him, and we not. We boldly let everyone know that we represent for Mashiach for the whole book.
Right.
And we believe prophetically or doctrinally certain things are lining up for the fulfillment of the last feast, the Feast of Trumpets, which was never fulfilled. Historically, was never fulfilled, where all 12 tribes of Israel came together. Presently, one, not even, but whoever is claiming to be the Jews is basically one interpretation, one tribe, a monolith. And what about the other tribes scattered to the four corners of the earth?
Right.
So when you know Scripture, you know we scattered more into, the areas of which, Judaism says that its source or authority comes from.
Right.
The Father said we've scattered to the four corners of the earth, and at the trumpet, from the four corners we're coming together.
And what does that trumpet mean?
The trumpet means his word, waking up or redeeming his, meaning even Mashiach, the spirit of Yeshua, the word says the spirit of prophecy.
Right.
Prophecy, we know, is the Old Testament and New Testament, but famously it's the Old Testament, because the power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob even states that send forth, be a witness, and let them bring forth their witness. Who else is going to bring forth the beginning from the end, and
right,
or you know what I mean, and from ancient time the things that have not yet come forth in
right.
earth. So the Father is challenging all of the gods that His word cannot lie,
right,
and that the seal of that prophetic word was Mashiach. So we have classes on Tuesday. Y'all can tune in, where we're breaking down this prophetic word, teaching this prophetic word, so we can get a greater understanding.
Right.
And again, we welcome challenges. We've had challenges already.
Matter of fact, let's get into that trumpets. Let's get right back into exactly what you're talking about in the holy day. So go back to Leviticus chapter 23. Because this is we're gonna actually look at the meaning of trumpets, and then we can expound on even the meaning of what it's saying of the holy day.
Sir.
So Leviticus chapter 23, and let's start this back at verse 23.
All right, and Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yashra'al, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall you have a Shabbat, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation.
All right, so that's important. That verse right there, there's a lot being said in there. And then also we see that word Sabbath. We want to see what that means. We know what a Shabbat is. So that's verse 23. If we look at those Hebrew words there, verse 24, and the children say, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month. So we know that's a new month. You shall have a Sabbath. But the word that was used there is the word I keep telling you about. It's Sabbathon. Shabbaton, which is H7677. That's not the Sabbath. Sabbath is a different world.
That's not the weekly Shabbat.
That's not the weekly Shabbat. Right. That's completely set apart.
Hallelujah.
Completely set apart. We can't touch that. No holy day will ever fall on that day, because that is set apart.
So in the Hebrew, you saying in Leviticus 23 when he says these are my Moads, or does it say these are my Sabbaths?
And verse 24 it says, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, you shall have, it says Sabbath in English,
right.
But it's not, you're not going to have a Sabbath in the 1st day of the 7th month. Never.
Because it's the 7th day.
Because that's the 7th day. And the 7th day for the 7th month, because it's a fixed calendar, 364 days, 52 weeks of 7 days and 12 months. It's always going to be the same day of the week that it falls. Now, the numbered day might be different on Babylon's calendar, because they calendar all over the place. You got 365 one year, you got 366 another year. And then with these other calendars, you got 354 one year, 384 another year. It's going to be all over the place, but not YAH. YAH said these are a fixed time. So here, the Hebrew word that was used here that they translate to Sabbath is not Sabbath. It's not Shabbat. It's Sabbathon. Shabbathon, which is H7677, spelled SHABBATHON. in. Every time you have a day that is treated as a holy, as a Sabbath, and it doesn't fall on the seventh day of the week, it's called a Sabbathon, which means a Sabbatism or special holiday, rest Sabbath.
Set apart day.
It's a set apart day where you are not permitted to work. Right. It's for a lack of a better word, it's a holiday, a special holiday. So it means you on a holiday, you off. You don't work on a holiday. You off. So these days you're not permitted to work. So this is what you would have is called like a high Sabbath, because you have a day that's a new month. You have a day that is a holy day, and it's a Shabbathon. Pesach is a holy day, but you can work. It's a preparation day. But matzah, unleavened bread, day one, you can't work. That's a Sabbathon. So there's differences here.
Amen.
Same thing with first fruits. First fruits, you can work. But Pentecost, you can't work. Certain days, he says, nah, this is set apart. You can't even work on this day. Atonement, same thing. You can't even work. You work on that day, you cut off. All right, so that's important. And then you want to look at that word for trumpets. The word for trumpets is teruah. Teruah, which is H8643. Teruah. Teruah. And that's a clamor. That is acclamation of joy or a battle cry. Specially clangor of trumpets as an alarm. Blowing of trumpets, a joy, a jubilee, a loud noise, a rejoicing, shouting, high, joyful sounding. So when you get into Ezra, they had teruah, but they couldn't tell the difference of whether people was screaming for joy or screaming for crying. Because you had the elders that were alive when they were in the old temple. They got carried away into Babylon, and they came back to the second building of the temple, and they laid the foundation of the temple, and they were crying because they were so emotional to see, man, we just came out of Babylon, and now we back in our land, and look, the foundation of our temple is built. Then you had the people that were born in captivity that were just screaming for joy. Hey, we back. They couldn't tell the difference. It was teruah. Go ahead, Elder.
I mean, wow. Now, that's not the Holy Spirit, because we living in a time that I experienced from, again, being a student of Scripture. I had already, you notice, your witness did a lot of, paintings or, images making us aware of the dry bones, of the trumpets, of the times that we're living in. But as time went by and you focused on, getting this message out, things happen. But we living in a time that's uniquely, people just see the 400-year period coming to a close as a celebration.
Right.
As you bringing this forth, this trumpets in this month, I hope you tie it to, the 400 years and the fact of, prophetically, the last feast in the 3 sets of feasts where we were to appear before YAH was never fulfilled. So that last feast is still future to be fulfilled. The Feast of Trumpets was never fulfilled. And so, we believe it's the redemption of the house of Israel that was cast off and has been in, you understand, a wandering or a dead nation situation as pictured in Ezekiel 37 for the last over 2,000 years. So, but again, the Father's faithful, and at a certain season, we believe we're in that season, or coming close to that season. That trumpet is going to sound for the redemption of his people Israel, for us uniting as a nation. But what you're pointing out, that in the time of Solomon, after Solomon, when we came back from the 70-year, captivity in Babylon, and the second temple was built, how the people were like, certain people that knew the original temple, this was nothing. It was like, it was sorry. They crying for sadness, and the others is, they happy because we're back.
Right.
So again, but that's where it is now. People are like I'm crying. I'm happy in the sense that I'm seeing that it's coming to where the prophecies will be fulfilled, and I'm working hard, that I can have the joy of that I did all I could to try to alert my people. Like you were saying, the trumpet is an alert and an alarm.
Right.
Letting our people know to come out of her, to go out into what was prepared for them for this time, because the Father knows all things. It's a place prepared for us in this season,
Right.
where we can be a nation and enjoy, freedom. You understand? Before you understand, the kingdom comes. Everybody, because we're coming into a time of the tribulation period. But I mean, I'm just commenting on the fact of crime and joy.
Absolutely.
A lot of people today just see, way 400 years about to be,
Right.
you
But they don't have an idea what's coming up.
crying.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of crying too.
Ooh.
That great tribulation.
So-
And if you have a love for your people, you're not gonna be all celebrating when you know what's about to happen to your people.
You're gonna let your people know
Right.
to celebrate
After you grab
in
that
the
incense
wilderness. Come out of her.
Right.
That this is a fulfillment.
Right.
That we gotta wake up to time. It's so sad how people just think. I mean, okay, when I was younger, people, you bring them the truth and they say, well, hey, I see you bringing it, we're Israelite. Well, my father was a Baptist. That was good enough for me. I'm a, you know what I mean? And people just get locked into to traditions that they were raised
Comfort
in.
level. Right. Just want to be comfortable. You want to be comfortable or you want to be righteous?
You want the truth.
Right. Go ahead.
So there's two meanings to these holy days.
Oh, there's
More than
layers.
that.
Like, I mean,
Layers.
As far as what the book of Colossians says,
Which is in regard to Colossians.
Being no judgment according to
Colossians chapter 2, verse 16 and 17.
mhm.
Basically, so that
What did it say? We don't.
it says, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a holy day,
Mhm.
or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath days,
Mhm.
which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Yashra'al.
Amen.
Absolutely. Let no man therefore judge you. Judge you in what? In meat. What we just read. You're supposed to do this meat offering and da, 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 da. Or in drink, you do this drink offering in respect of a holy day. Because what are you doing on these holy days, on this new month, and on the Shabbat? Meat offering, drink offering. Don't let man judge you because Yahshua is, this is my body, this is the meat, this is my blood, this is the drink. You trying to find your holiness in doing this animal sacrifice and drinking this wine instead of finding your holiness in Yahshua, who makes you holy. This word.
Or Yah's word.
Right, his word. Exactly. That's who Yahshua was. He was his word manifested into flesh.
Amen.
So don't let no man judge you, because again, this is Colossians. He's talking to the disciples that they're talking to them saying, hey, y'all ain't doing no meat. You ain't do no animal sacrifice. Listen, man, we covered under the blood of Yahshua. We trying to keep righteousness so we don't have to do animal sacrifices. You over here focused on doing this animal sacrifice. That's your righteousness. We focus on not doing a transgression. So we don't have to kill no animals. Because he said point blank in Jeremiah, I didn't ask you for sacrifices when you came out the kingdom. Came out of Egypt, and I asked you for obedience. I had to give you animal sacrifices because y'all refused to keep commandments. Y'all wanted to go after them other gods you had in Egypt. So he's not saying, hey, don't keep holy days. No, don't let no man judge you because you're not, again, in respect to what? In respect to meat or drink.
Man.
Go ahead, Elder.
So, I mean, I don't know the context in which you're asking the question, but it's a good scripture that you brought forward.
I'm just trying to tie it in with what you've been.
No,
bringing
the Gentiles have used that scripture to justify eating pork.
Right.
And the introduction of their pagan holidays.
Exactly.
That Paul was okay with that. And what Paul adversely was saying, and then there's a scripture even to justify that many of them that are unlearned and unstable, they trust in Paul's writings to their own destruction, meaning that Paul was deep, so the things he's saying has to be interpreted
He's a
from
Pharisee.
a knowledgeable perspective.
Right.
If you read it there, it seems like you can eat anything. It's cool. Don't judge.
If you
nobody.
cherry pick, just read one verse. Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
what it's saying in context is that Mashiach, like you was pointing out my perspective, that Mashiach was the Lamb of God that
Absolutely. That's the
was
meat.
revealed in Exodus with Moses. He was introduced in Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
Put this blood on the doorpost, and he was introduced in in Genesis with the coats of skin that was given to Adam.
Right.
But Mashiach is revealed in layers, meaning that it started with Adam. We get a picture of Mashiach that's going to come. He's our Redeemer. But they were given, he's symbolized as coats of skin that was given.
Absolutely.
The next chapter, he's introduced in the 2 feast days. One
Right.
brought, the first thing of the flock, other brought vegetables.
Yahshua was the first.
And
Mashiach
so-
was the first thing introduced, period, when he said, let there be light.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
all I'm just trying to
Yeah.
show to our brothers that start with Moses
Right.
and the whole reality
Like
of
it just
Moses
started
and
there.
the law is that it predated Moses was bringing a order that began from the beginning.
Right.
It's a cyclical order.
Exactly.
That's all
Just
I'm
like
trying to say. And it
Jubilees,
was- and
15.
it was fulfilled, meaning we gonna have, as time go on, I'm sure everything is gonna be revealed before the end comes. That nobody will doubt who the Messiah is, that they can clearly choose salvation or damnation based on truth, not based on today. People are in that fuzzy gray matter because of we're in the church period of the time of the Gentile, and we fully haven't discovered all the truths, which I compliment you, YAH, for being soldier enough to go in here, seeing it, and then bringing boldly, just like I'm bringing prophetically boldly that yes, Mashiach fulfilled. I mean, all of the feast days just a shadow of this, the divine order that was fulfilled in, historically through Mashiach. He was the first. The church of the Gentiles, 2,000 years is in him, and now we're dead as a nation, and he is going to cause the trumpet to sound for all of them that's going to be redeemed to be redeemed. Not Moses, not Abraham, but Mashiach is going to cause that trumpet to sound, you understand, for the end time, as it's revealed to him by the Most High. Because the Most High, he said himself that he knew in part, on the Most High knew the time and the season itself.
Right.
But that these seasons are universally a
Right.
reflection of the Father's
Right.
high holy days.
He said day or the hour. He didn't say season. He said the day or the hour. No man knows the day or not even the Son of Man knows the day or
But
the
we
hour.
know the season because he said
Because
it's
it's prophecy is given to us for
like,
a reason.
Like it'll be like the days of
Noah.
It'll
right.
be like the days of Lot.
Mhm.
So again, these are some. He's just trying to. What I hate, I guess, when we were brought here to this country, and the Gentiles gave us, their interpretation of our laws.
Right.
That they stole from us.
Right.
That we sit and assume that the God of Abraham is a monolith, that you just come, pay your money, be righteous, don't lie, don't steal, don't do this, don't do that, and you're going to make him to his kingdom just following precepts without thinking.
Right.
The elder that I serve, YAH, is the elder that you serve. You have to think, you have to study, you got to pray, you got to fast, you got to struggle to live and execute this walk. It's just not you a robot. Well, I come, let me go in and the football game about to come on. My real heart is about the football game.
Right.
This is where our people are at.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying?
And this is all part of the awakening. Our people, the fact that people even watching this and paying attention and trying to learn from this shows you that the Spirit is moving over our people. A remnant of people.
And all I'm sharing is we got to think. And I want the audience to study and come up with something. Don't get disappointed if you check, because the Father wrote these things got to be line upon line. You can't run out here, YAH, and think that you're not going to be challenged or checked or whatever. But hey, if it's the truth and you did your homework, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Bring it on.
That's
We
YAH.
want to be enlightened.
That's YAH, showing me mercy if he sends a servant to come correct me and I'm in error, because that's not my intention, or to
We
teach
can
people
write it.
error.
We're just trying to discover.
That's hallelujah. All praises to the Most High, because we're at this point because somebody corrected us,
Waking up.
or we were able to correct ourselves and judge ourselves. Let's go back to Leviticus chapter 23, and let's pick this back up at start from verse 24 again.
Speak unto the children of Yashra'al, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall you have a Shabbat, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying,
And verse 25 is that don't judge you in regarding to meat, because there's offering made by fire. We memorialize these days, but we don't do animal sacrifices anymore. The blood offerings is not things that we do. Yahshua fulfilled that for a time, brought us grace until his return. So these blood sacrifices, you had one group of people that were saying, you're not even doing these animal sacrifices. And then you had the other group of people saying, Christ said we just need to repent. He said, this is my blood. This is my body.
He's our sacrifice.
Right. He's the perfect sacrifice. You can't make, you got to give the best that you have to offer. If you have perfection, how are you going to offer anything better than that? So this is why he said, man, don't listen to those Jewish people that don't believe in Hamashiach, that trying to tell you you ain't nothing because you ain't offer your bull. Why they want you to offer the bull? So that they can collect on the bull and make the money. That's how they made their money. That's why they want to kill Mashiach. Because Mashiach come in here and say, man, listen, keep your farm animals. Just don't do the transgression. And be sorry and contrite in your heart. Because you can't beat that system. You can give 10 sheep away and have no intention in your heart to repent. And you fooled man, but you ain't fooled Yah, and you dying in those sins. Now, stop doing the transgression. Ask Yah to forgive you through this word, through Hamashiach. And that will be good enough for you, because you can't lie to him. You can lie to yourself. And this is what he was talking about. And like they said, like the sister said here, they hijacked this stuff and said, see, you can just do whatever you want. And then the other group says, you can do whatever you want, just offer the animal. Both groups saying transgress. No. Yahshua came, do not sin. Do not transgress. Keep these commandments. Hallelujah. And when you do sin, because every man is a sinner, have a humble, contrite spirit and try your best not to do it again. Seek him for help. Let him be your strength. Like Saul said, man, I prayed 3 times to get this transgression removed from me. This thorn, I can't. I keep falling. Look, I know your heart. You trying your best. In your weakness, your strength is made perfect in me, in Hamashiach. But if you think you righteous, you ignoring that thorn, it's all good, because it's all good. No, it's not. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 26. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and you shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh.
Okay. So also in this 10th day, so your 7th day is just the first of the 7th month. The first day of the 7th month, which is trumpets, is going to be your Tuesday night, September 10th. So September 10th at night, which is a Tuesday night, that's your 7th month. That's your trumpets. So you have to count from that 10 days, with September the 10th being the first night of the month. So count 10 days and see where you get. What day do you get?
Looks to be Thursday of the 19th.
Khan. September 19th. That is your atonement. That's the holiest day of the year. That is the most set apart day of the year. People ask, why is that the most set apart day of the year? It's the only feast day there's no feast. The only feast day with no feast. Every other day is a celebration. That means this is set apart from every other set apart day. This is where you have the entire nation of Yashra'al by commandment being on one accord, all praying for the forgiveness of sins of the entire nation. And Yah says, this day I'm going to wipe away all your transgressions, everything on this day. That means it's like your baptism almost, your immersion. The entire nation is clean at once if they're coming in spirit and truth. All of this is for a reason, to prepare you to enter into the house of Yah, which is in gathering. That when you walk somebody's house, they say wipe your feet before you walk in the house. Cleanse yourself. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 28. And you shall do no work in that in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before Yahweh your Elohim. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
Mm-hmm.
And whatsoever soul it be that does any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
He don't want you working. Now, on the Shabbatons, he say don't work. But how do we know this is a Shabbaton? Right? And then he says, look, man, I don't want you working. I want you focusing on where you went wrong. I'm giving you mercy. I'm going to wipe away all your debt. If we had somebody say, listen, give me everything you owe, all your bills, anything you owed in the past, all your collections, everything you ever owed, your student loans, your car loan, your mortgage, your credit card, give me everything that you have and bring it to me on this day, and I'm going to wipe your debt clean. We'd be flying all over the place to find every single piece of debt that we owed, to have some man wipe our debt clean. This is what YAH is saying to us. He's so merciful. He said, man, I know you've transgressed throughout the year. Just bring it to me. Because to bring it to me, you got to acknowledge that you transgressed. We don't even want to acknowledge that we did wrong. So he says, bring it to me on this day. And he's so merciful. He says, I don't even want you working. Don't even work. Spend all day making sure you reconcile all this, because I want to wipe everything away. Go ahead to verse 32.
It shall be unto you a Shabbat of rest.
All right, there you go. They use that word Shabbat again. But it says Shabbat of rest. Look at the word for rest. H7677, Shabbaton. It'll be a Sabbath of Shabbatons. It's like a Sabbath, but it's not. It's a Sabbathon. So it's letting you know it's not going to fall on the Sabbath day. It cannot. First of all, it's unlawful to fast on a Sabbath day. So it can't fall on a Sabbath day. And then it's letting you know it's a Sabbathon. So Thursday night is a Sabbathon. It's not on a Sabbath. But if you got a floating calendar that goes all over the place, you're going to have your Day of Atonement fall on a Shabbat. If you're using a new moon, your Day of Atonement going to eventually fall on a Shabbat. If your calendar floats all over the place, it's going to fall on a Shabbat. Go ahead.
It shall be unto you a Shabbat of rest, and you shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even.
All right, so if it's the 9th day at even to even, and it falls on the 10th, it's just letting you know it's an entire day. The 9th day at even begins the 10th day, and it's even to even. So the Day of Atonement is the single holy day that destroys that whole doctrine of the day starts in the daytime. Because if the day starts in the daytime, you can't have a Day of Atonement. You're going to have days of atonement, because it's even to even. So we know it says Day of Atonement, not days of atonement. You got holy days that are 7 days, holy days that are 8 days. It doesn't say Day of Atonement is 2 days. So anybody that tries to tell you the day starts in the daytime portion, you take them right here to Day of Atonement. Then why it say Day of Atonement? Why don't say Days of Atonement? Because even to even will cross over into 2 different calendar days if your day starts in a daytime portion. Go ahead.
From even unto even shall you celebrate your Shabbat. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yashra'al, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles, for 7 days unto Yahweh. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you, and you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and you shall do no servile work therein. These are the feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering, a meat offering, a sacrifice, and drink offerings, everything upon his day.
All right. You had a question, brother Keskia?
So even means evening.
Mm-hmm.
So then why, if so much? Why is there not full understanding if it's telling you from evening to evening keep the Shabbat? Why is there people coming out with doctrine saying just keep it in the
Because in English, the word evening is.
Is there a Hebrew word for evening there?
Yeah, it's Arab, which is it's just a mixed portion of time. So you have two different mixed portions of times. You have when it starts, the evening, then the morning, and then you also have right before the night ends.
But then they would use twilight for that morning period.
In English, right. So King James will play around with how it wants to use words to cause confusion, to support certain doctrines. But when you look at the Hebrew is clear.
So the Hebrew doesn't say from evening to evening?
Nah, it would have been Arab to Arab. It was letting you know. The evening portion, just like in the beginning, it's letting you know when it is. And furthermore, you can go into Jubilees to let you know when it is. You can go into all these other holy days.
Just saying, I don't know what Arab means.
It means mixed.
The word Arab means
Arab
mixed.
means mixed. Yeah.
So it's talking about sundown?
After that, after sundown, you have that little portion where the sun goes down, but there's still light out, but it's dark.
Twilight.
That's mixed. It's like a mixed portion because it's not really daytime, it's not really nighttime. It's the beginning. So that's where you get the word Arab. Arab means EHREB.
Twilight?
Yeah, exactly. And that happens twice. Happens also in the morning time and also happens in the evening time. But you have to go to the other witnesses to show you which one you're talking about.
So for the word twilight in Samuel,
There's a different word for twilight.
it's not Arab.
Nah, different word. So that's what I'm saying. They got Hebrew words to let you know what specific time they're talking about. When they want to talk about that morning person time, they got a whole different word.
Okay.
So like I said, man, they're playing games with the English to try to cause confusion. But you can just use simple understanding. If it was talking about the morning portion time of the evening, saying from morning to morning, then it would be 2 days. If the day starts in morning. The day starts in the daytime. Either one, whether you want to use Arab at night or Arab in day, either way it's going to be off. But the only way it can make sense to give you 1 day is if your day starts at night. So, people play around with this stuff, but, you can only play with people that don't read these scriptures. It's clear. And you look at how David prayed. David told you, evening, morning, and noon do I pray. Why is he saying praying at those specific times? He's telling you the portions. The day is broken in 3 portions. You got the evening, which
So
begins your night.
When he said the word evening, when
Arab.
we said that, it was Arab.
Right. He didn't say twilight. Then he said morning, which is shakar. He said that. Then he said and night, layel. So he's letting you know. It's not layel. He said noon, which is a whole nother word. I don't know the Hebrew word for that, but it's a whole nother word. So he's letting you know the portions because those are all like portions. If you're splitting the day into 3, those portions cover the entire day. So why would he pray in that order? He's a man in Yah's heart, of course. And coincidentally, that's also a time when the gates open up in the skies too, for your prayers to go through into the heavens with your incense. Go ahead. This verse 38.
All right. Beside the Shabbats of Yahweh, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings which you gave unto Yahweh, also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gathered in the fruit of the land, you shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a Shabbat. On the 8th day shall be a Shabbat.
All right, and if you look at that word again, it shall be a Shabbaton, H7677. So he's letting you know the first day in verse 39, the 15th is a Sabbathon. And then also on the 8th day is a Sabbathon because you got H7677, which is Sabbathon. So again, you know that these are not going to fall on Sabbaths. They're treated like Sabbaths. So go back to your calendar, the 7th day of the month. On the 7th month starts the 10th. Count to the 15th day. Starting from the 10th, what day do you get? With September 10th being the first day, you're going to go to the 15th day of the 7th month.
So it should be the 24th.
Absolutely. So September 24th. September 24th, that's the first day of unleavened bread. That's treated like a Shabbaton. Now, that feast is 8 days, so the 24th being the first day, you're going to count to the 8th day. That's going to be the last feast day of the year. What day is that going to give us?
You said count 8 days?
8 days, with the 24th being the first day, because it's an 8-day feast.
That's the 1st of October.
Absolutely. So the 1st of October and the 24th of September are Sabbathons. Those are days that are treated like Sabbathon. And that concludes the holy days of YAH. It's 7 feast days.
You said September 29th?
September 24th starts Sukkah. And October 1st is the 8th day. That's the last day of Sukkah. First. So if you look at that word for atonement, the Hebrew word for atonement is kippur. Kippur, which is H3725. Kippur, Kippur. Or kafarim was another term they use for it. And that's from H3722, expiation, atonement. And the word for tabernacles is sukkah. Sukkah. H5521, spelled S-U-K-K-A-H, sukkah. And that's a hut or lair, booth, cottage, pavilion, tabernacle, tent. That's why they call it booths. Sukkah. So again, I know we flew through this kind of fast, but if you go back through this video, you can see how you calculate these holy days. As we get closer into these holy days, we'll start to go into more of the significance of each holy day. Because all these holy days, Yahshua is fulfilling these holy days. And the children of Yashra'al as the body are living these holy days. Like the one that Elder Ben Melech was talking about was trumpets. That's the one that we're fulfilling as a nation, that we're getting ready to fulfill, which is the gathering of the children of Yashra'al, to get ready to go into atonement, which is to wipe us clean, which the only way that you can cleanse sin is the blood of the sinner, which means a lot of our people getting wiped out. All for us to be prepared as a holy nation to enter into the house of Yah. Every year we talk about these things as these holy days symbolizing these things, but we're getting closer to that portion of time where we may be physically in that time when it's being fulfilled. So that's all we're going to do today. Do we have any last questions or comments before we close in prayer? The Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement is September 19th at sundown. September 19th, which is the 10th day of the 7th month.
Do we want to go over the new months for each month?
Yeah, if you want to write down the new months for your calendar, and then you can go over the new month class so you can figure out how we came to these calculations. The next new month we got coming is January 10th. And all of this is nighttime. January 10th. Then after that is February 9th. That's going to be the beginning of the 12th month. February 9th. Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, is March 12th. Then after that is April 11th. Then May 11th. Then June 11th. July 11th. August 10th. September 10th. October 10th. Then November 9th. And then the last one of 2019 is December 10th. And if you look at the pattern here, the days of the week on the calendar always stays the same from year to year. If your new year starts on a Tuesday night, every year your new year going to start on a Tuesday night. So you look at these new months, there's a pattern here. Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday. This pattern. Yah has a pattern of order. Always. So when you look at that pattern, you can see what he's doing here. So your holy days are always going to fall on the same day. Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Saturday, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Tuesday. And these are nights. You will never have his Moadim fall on a Shabbat, a Friday night. Never. He completely set apart the Shabbat. It would never, ever fall on the same day. So we're going to go ahead and post up this holy days calendar. Everybody take a look. Go through this again. We've made mistakes. It's possible. It's calculation. You can add the wrong numbers, do whatever. So if you see an error, send us an email. But the pattern is simple. All of this matches. And when you go into the resurrection timeline, you're going to see another witness there, how our holy days match. And if you look at the Qumran calendar, our holy days match perfectly. And it matched what Abraham did perfectly in Jubilee. So you got all these witnesses showing that the calendar that we're using matches. Doesn't mean we're right. It just means it's matching. That's all that means. So we Yah's will, we're right. And we're doing the best we can given all the information that we have. But when we know Yahshua comes down, if he says, hey, look, this is wrong, you do it here, we're going to say, amen. This is how we're going to do it, Yahshua. But Yahshua, you know that the bit of information we had, we used the best information we had and we followed it consistently. We didn't change it for convenience. We followed it consistently. So if you show us a better consistency, then we are going to follow that. All right, so let's go ahead and end in a prayer. And yes, we're going to put this calendar up for 2019 so everybody will be able to see that. Brother Jonathan, you Ruach back with you? Nah. All right. Brother West, can you go ahead and close us in prayer, please?
Our Father Yah, we thank you for today's class, Father Yah. We ask, Father Yah, please guide us, Father Yah. Guide us as we come together, as we seek to come together, Father Yah. As your day draws ever near, Father Yah.
Hallelujah.
As we seek to form the body of the Mashiach, Father Yah, we ask for your guidance. Because we know, Father Yah, that the way of man is not in himself, Father Yah, but it is you who guides us, Father Yah. So we ask, Father Yah, in seeking you, that if we stumble, if we fall, or if we cause offense to one of our brothers or sisters, Father Yah, that you correct us, Father Yah. And we ask, Father Yah, please don't correct us, Father Yah, in your anger, but in your mercy and with justice, Father Yah, lest you bring us to nothing, Father Yah. And we ask, Father Yah, please unite our hearts, Father Yah, to fear you, Father Yah, and only you, Father Yah. Despite our differences, Father Yah, for we know if our hearts are united in you, Father Yah, that we will act with one accord, Father Yah, despite our differences and disagreements, Father Yah. And we ask, Father Yah, to act solely upon your will, Father Yah, in alignment with your will, Father Yah. And in Yahshua HaMashiach's holy mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
What's your name? Tyree?
That's Jonathan's.
These are children?